Hi, and welcome to this edition of A Conversation About. Now, in our business, you can't really go anywhere these days without bumping into something around Gen AI. And whilst it's an interesting and definitely innovative set of technologies, I wanted to get beyond the hype and really to understand a bit more about the potential business value and to some extent the role that data and analytics leadership should be looking to take within the Gen AI space. So to do that, I turned to my old friend Jim Sterne. Jim has been a thought leader in the digital marketing analytics space going back a number of years. In fact, I won't be doing him any favours to point out that his first book on digital marketing was actually published in 1995. And since that time, he's turned his attention to the world of digital and web analytics, where I first met Jim 20 years ago at the second Marketing Analytics Summit, eMetrics as it used to be known, back in 2004. And since then, Jim has been at the forefront of the thinking around the evolution of digital marketing and analytics through into the adoption of AI within marketing, and now he's turned his attention to Gen AI. So I was interested to hear from him, his perspectives on where we are today with Gen AI and actually some of the challenges that we need to start to be thinking about.
So Jim, great to catch up and have this conversation about Gen AI. So I got interested. What was it about Gen AI that sort of caught your eye in the first place? A while back and got you interested in the whole area.
Well, I think shiny object, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, and that has been my modus operandi. I mean, I was intrigued by personal computers and sold them out of a retail store in 1979. And I was intrigued by how computers could help businesses. And so I sold computers to companies that never owned one before. Along comes the internet. Oh boy. And oh, look, analytics. Oh boy. And wait a minute, machine learning. That's interesting. Oh, hold the phone. Generative AI is completely different. It is completely different. That's the thing that really grabbed my attention.
Yeah. And sort of in terms of, the use cases for Gen AI at the moment, I mean, they're obviously still sort of evolving and emerging. What are the ones that you see as being sort of really powerful, both in terms of, given your obviously your background in digital marketing, but also in analytics, where are those use cases really sort of beginning to land?
Well, the first thing that everybody recognizes is productivity. I need
Yeah.
to write a blog post, give me an outline, or give me a draft, answer my emails, create a transcript of this meeting and give me an outline and a summary and a to-do list. I mean, it's great for that stuff. But I think that is the first thing. It's not the thing that generative AI is best at.
Mm-hmm.
What it's best at is not its output, but it's throughput. It's what it's really good at is giving you good ideas and helping you think about stuff and reframe your question and see what you're thinking. It's having somebody who's really smart, well-informed, but not quite clued in and not necessarily honest as a brainstorming sidekick that you can bounce ideas off all night long and will never tell you to shut up like humans do.
And I mean, I think my observations and are essentially this thing, Gen AI is sort of beginning to sort of embed itself into organizations in the corporate kind of world, but isn't really kind of landing in any one particular place. What are your observations on that at the moment?
It belongs everywhere. It
Right.
is. I mean, if I in marketing, naturally, I'm going to use it for content creation, but I can also use it for analysis of customer segmentation. I mean, it's terrific at not answering questions of fact, but answering questions of opinion. So here's my Google Analytics data for the last 3 months. What are the anomalies? What are the trends? What do you think? What kind of questions should I be asking of this data? What will my CFO be interested in? And what will my CMO be interested in this data set? How is this data different from 6 months previous? And instead of how many people saw this ad, clicked on it, came to my website and downloaded the PDF, because it'll invent a number. That's what it does. It generates, it doesn't report. So the mistake everybody's making is, how do we make this do the things that we are used to computers doing? That's fine and it's great and it will automate stuff and the productivity is terrific, but that's not the exciting part. The exciting part is, here's my thesis. What is your opinion of it? What would Albert Einstein say? What would Bertolt Brecht say about it? What would William Shakespeare think? And get 10 different perspectives that are not for the purpose of, this is the output I'm going to put into the world, but this is input for my process. It can be used absolutely anywhere. Product development, human resources, operations, shop floor control, anything. I can give.
From a data and analytics kind of standpoint, as if you're a data and analytics leader in an organization and a CDAO or whatever, and you've got, as I've observed, sort of mutterings coming from stakeholders about AI, Gen AI. What are we doing about it? I mean, what are the kind of thing? What would your advice almost be to that sort of constituency in terms of how to think about it and how to start to explain its potential uses to an organization from a sort of a data and analytics perspective?
Well, first of all, let's pop it up a level. I would point them toward my LinkedIn Full Sterne Ahead newsletter post about the 7 steps to adopting AI. For your listeners, the 7 steps are: survey, where are we now? Executive alignment, can we get everybody upstairs to agree on a vision? Put together an AI council. There's people are using this stuff already anyway. So let's find the ones who are enthusiastic and bring them together to form an AI council, who will then be responsible for step 4, which is policies and guidelines. So I need to bring in the legal department and the IT department for safety and security and privacy. So now that I have policies, now I can go about step 5, which is training. How do we teach everybody how to use and what not to do with this stuff? And then number 6 is the biggie, is how do we integrate this stuff into our processes, products, and services? And that's, I mean, there are frameworks galore out there for how to think about generative AI. Oh, sure, we're going to start with prompt engineering, whoop-de-doo. But how do you actually go about making it happen and coming back to business value, which is step 7, is how do you measure the business value of your generative AI stuff? So that's the high level. Now let's go down to analytics, where I've got 2 different possibilities. One is the productivity side, and the other is the creative side. Productivity is, here's my data, find the problems with it, clean my data, help me clean my data. And it can do that. You can automate a bunch of pipeline stuff that's marvelous and trustworthy. And you can build guidelines to help it along and build rules in. Any kind of code, writing SQL, writing Python, writing APIs. Make me an API, and it will. And if it doesn't work, it'll apologize and correct it. So the productivity side, outstanding. Here is my data, and here's the point I want to make. Create a PowerPoint deck for me that gets that point across. Fabulous. But on the creative side, what kind of business question? Here's my data schema. In fact, here are 27 different data sets that I have in my company and their schemas. Create a master schema, create me a data dictionary, create me a data catalog, keep track of it dynamically, and tell me, what kind of business questions should I be asking? Don't ask it to answer those questions. That's what SQL is for. That's what Python's for. But ask it, what might I be asking of this data? And then convince the business side that they should be using it creatively as well. We're in this industry. Here are 12 of my competitors' websites. What are they not talking about that our customers might be interested in, so that we can, make a lot of noise about that and best our competitors. So it's this, yes, it helps me functionally, it helps me productivity, but creativity, that's the thing that's new. This is not your grandfather's computer. It's something
Right.
else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it is that sort of, I mean, we sort of, we're not necessarily known in the data and analytics world for our sort of creativity kind of aspects. We're sort of kind of paid to be rational. So I think I can see that being quite a bit of a challenge actually for
I
sort
am
of
going to
the community.
disagree with your premise. I think the rationality that we apply to data is incredibly creative. I think looking back at a data set and troubleshooting, problem solving, and then the creative part is going to the business side and say,
Mm.
what are you trying to accomplish? Okay, what does that, well, how can I turn that into a data question? And here's a model I built, and here's the output. What might that mean to the business side? I think that's wildly creative.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of true. As I said, I was probably being sort of slightly negative about our profession, but that's more probably of an outside-in perspective than an inside-out perspective. But you mentioned, what attracted you to GenAI was, its sort of shininess but and anything that's new and shiny. Also, I guess, and I've experienced this myself in the world of data and analytics is that it's a shiny new toy, but how do you actually start to use it properly? I mean, how do you institutionalize it into this? I'm assuming you're saying it's exactly the same sort of challenges with Gen AI, or are there different ones?
Well, change management is change management. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
these 7 steps are to do with any new technology, except for number 6, integrating it with processes and products and
yeah,
services. That's going to be transformational, because how do you integrate generative AI into processes? You have it help with workflow, you automate systems, you automate data transfer. That's good, but into your products and services, that is business transformational.
mm,
That is the advertising agency that says, look at everything that we do. And Sam Altman, who's head of OpenAI, comes out and says, well, 95% of that work can be done by the machine. That's okay, good. So what are we going to do from now on? And as
right,
an analyst, wait, my job is to collect this information and clean it and put it through a pipeline. If the machine does that, it's like, that's part of your job. So there's a tool that can help you with with a task. Can't do
yeah,
your whole job. Your whole job requires the things it doesn't have. Knowledge, it doesn't have. Intuition, judgment, political capability, the ability to go out and get funding for projects. This is the job. AI is going to help with the tasks.
yeah. Yes, I mean, we know we've complained for years, haven't we, that 80% of what we do is just preparing data, and 20% of what we do is actually sort of extracting the value and the insight from that data. So, from a productivity angle, then we should be saying, well, help me with the 80% and let me focus on the other 20%, or swap those two around, I guess. Yeah.
And there's been an interesting argument about that, where I spend the 80% mucking about in the data,
Mm.
helps me understand the data better, so I can ask better questions. And if I skip that part, aren't I missing something? To which I say, it's different. It's not bad.
Okay.
So my grandfather did woodworking with a handsaw and a rasp and sandpaper, and I have power tools.
Yeah.
He would argue that I don't understand the wood as well as he does. I argue I understand it differently, and I can work more efficiently. Can I create something as beautiful as he did if I put in the 10,000 hours? Yes, I can.
Mm.
The tools are tools, and I can ask higher order questions. Somebody asked, "Oh, well, what happens to all of the entry level work? We have workers come in the mail room, and now we don't need that person anymore. So doesn't that mean they don't understand the basics?" It's the you have to do wax on, wax off in order to do kung fu, right? It's like, no, it's different. It's higher level thinking. I can ask higher level questions of the data instead of, is this data correct? Is it trustworthy? Did it get from point A to point B? The machine can do that for me. Now I can ask, what does it mean to my business?
So as a data and analytics leader, do I need to start thinking about different roles within my organization?
The roles that you have that are purely functional. So you are not just you're a data engineer, but you're responsible for the GA4 to BigQuery API. That's your whole job. That job's over. We don't need a human to do that anymore. But that person who did that job can now ask higher level questions.
Yeah.
And be more valuable to the company. So different roles, no. Different tasks, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a bit like it's the new industrialization then of well, data and analytics, but also industry within.
Yeah, I've heard it. World. I just heard it described as the intellectual revolution.
Okay, nice.
An interesting analogy.
Yeah. Well, Jim, any final thoughts on the impact over the next couple of years? Where do you see this? I mean, I'm not going to ask the 5-year question, but the next couple of years, what's going to be the things for people to look out for?
Well, 5 years is science fiction because every week it does something else. Now it produces videos, and tomorrow it will. I was
having that conversation with somebody today. Yeah, it was sort of like
who knows?
The box keeps on changing. It's what you do with the box that matters.
Yeah. So I guess the most important things are to bring together the enthusiasts in your company and encourage them and reward them for keeping track of this stuff so that when somebody comes to, I don't want to call it the AI Center of Excellence, but AI Council is good. Somebody comes up and says, I have an idea. Can I use this generative AI thing to help me do this task? And the AI Council is there to say, oh, yes, you can, and that feature just got added, or no, you can't, and you're thinking about it wrong, or that's a great use case, let's build it, or wait 10 minutes and somebody else will develop it and we can license it. And you need the AI Council to be there to be the ones who are keeping track, because it's a lot. And I don't want the whole company wasting their time running down this rabbit hole, which is fascinating, but actually they have work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's about getting everyone together and actually sort of beginning to get a program together, really, of how this new shiny technology can actually sort of really add value to the business.
The change management plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, Jim, as always, great to catch up and to have a chat. It's been enlightening for me to sort of get a bit more insight into some of the opportunities and obviously the challenges around this new technology and the opportunities that it presents for organizations and businesses around the world.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and I continue to admire your hairstyle.
You're welcome. Bye for now.